Paul, a frustrating 2-1 defeat ultimately. What's your verdict?
Yeah, frustrated. After getting off to a good start as well. I think we're never quite sure how the game will pan out realistically. But the timing of the goals that we conceded was really disappointing in terms of we got ourselves in front and we didn't. No one really had time to celebrate enough in terms of we then back at 1-1. And then come out for the second half, and the next minute you're 2-1 down. And against a team like Cambridge that have a good defensive record, don't give up many chances. That's what all the sort of watching them and the stats suggest. That suddenly becomes a lot more difficult. I thought we had some good bits of play, we had some possession. However, we didn't really create enough, and that's the challenge. Because I think, like I said, the way they defend deep, don't give you too much space. It was difficult to get in behind them too often. We had the odd time, and we had a really good bit of play when it ended up with Bloxon putting a ball in. Dan has a shot. I couldn't see from where I was, but all the fans seemed to be claiming for a corner. We didn't get it. And in the end, like I said, it just became difficult to do enough to create that. It looked like Shea had a decent chance from the corner, and it ended up a bit of a scramble and ended up in the keeper's hands. But that's the bit that was disappointing, because it didn't feel like they did too much to us, but probably, from their point of view, they'd felt that they was, defended well and did a good away job, which they've gone away with the points, and it's difficult to argue with that.
Yeah, it was a great start for your team. Lovely move, wasn't it, as well, which led to the goal for Daniel Uda?
Yeah, it was, a quick, positive play, and I think in fairness, again, how I saw it, I don't think we started the game particularly well, but then I think we had maybe one attack previous, then that attack. Marco throws it out, and all of a sudden we're up the pitch, and it had to be pinpoint from Shippers because of the sort of speed it had happened. There was only Dan in there. He makes a great near post run and finished it really well.
So Cambridge level by half time, and then the second half, your team started so brightly, didn't they, at Northampton?
Yes.
Second half a week ago, and we wondered if the same would happen, but sadly not the case, is it?
No, the opposite, unfortunately. And then, I'm looking at body language, and I know it's new for me, that part of it, as in, because you arguably learn more about people when things aren't going the way you want to. I think when things go well, everyone's happy, everyone's at their best probably. So that, it's a bit of a learning experience for me. But I said to the players that I think even before the game, I don't know if it was a little bit of nerves or he just felt a little bit flatter than I would have expected from having won last week and coming home where in the main we've had a pretty good record. So yeah, we didn't get off to the start that I would have liked, albeit strangely we then found ourselves in front.
What are your thoughts on the late dismissal of young Tom Bloxon?
I'm not sure about the first booking. I don't know if it was something that was said or not. I'd have to kind of check. The second one, yeah, I can see that. So as disappointing as it is, I can see that second booking because the lad was looking to break. He made a mess in terms of we couldn't restart the game because apparently the player that's sent off has to be up the tunnel and out of vision. So if it's that, we'll send him across the quickest route to the tunnel. It's not a sub. I think there's a few things that we could say, but ultimately that's not, why we've lost the game. But it was very frustrating at times. Stood on that touchline, as I felt a lot of the fans felt exactly the same. Some of the decisions that seemed to go against us, kill any kind of momentum, or it got scrappy and. Yeah, at times I was wondering when we would get a decision.
You turn to the bench, a debut for Jack Hinchy. Happy to get Jack involved straight away? Yeah,
I think we want to. Young player, like I said before the game, he'd played Wednesday night, and it's a hell of a journey as we know that he then had. And realistically, Friday when he trained would be normally a kind of recovery day for him. So pleased to get him out there. I think he showed signs of what he can do and what he will do in terms of being in that middle of the pitch, passing the ball. But overall, as a team, we just said it there, we've got to understand what state the game's in, when to, just put the ball in the box. Towards the end, there were times we turned it down as much as we wanted to try and pass it. And the other thing is to be positive. Yes, pass the ball, but when the opportunity's there, let's pass forward, let's run forward. And like I said, maybe the way Cambridge defended and got men behind the ball, that can be more difficult. But that's what we've got to try and take forward. We're disappointed today, and we know we've got, on paper, 2 very difficult fixtures coming up. I would suggest that no games are easy for us anyway. But we've got to work on, part of it is a mindset of going there and competing and thinking we can get a result. Because if we don't think that in the first place, then we certainly won't get one.
You sent on Roland Adowu as well, and Aden OBrien too, for his first Shrewsbury Town first team appearance in over a year. Is that an indication of just how much he's impressed you since you've been working with him on the training ground? I
think he's been very bright in training, and I think I said Thursday, in terms of how he is within the group, etc. He's an experienced player. His career has been either at this level or above, a large part of it. I know more recently he was in League Two with Sutton. But I can only judge in terms of what I've seen and bring in a bit of personality, a bit of life. And I have to say probably in terms of finishing in training-wise, he's been right up there, if not the best. So I just felt if we obviously needed a goal, we needed something different because, the game wasn't overly about stretching and running behind. They were defending deep. He's clever on the ball. His movement's good. So, that was the reason he got the shout.
In terms of your team, same starting 11 as last week at Northampton, but there were some changes on the bench. Some players not involved today. Tamishi Shobawale, Nohan Kenner, Max Matter, Joe Anderson, not involved again. Are they tough decisions, or is it a case you can't simply pick everybody?
No, both really, Stuart, as in they are tough decisions, and the fact is I can't pick everyone, unfortunately. Again, I think some are kind of circumstances, like with Joe, for example, we've got Jason. It's difficult to say, well, I'll, put them both involved. I don't really see that happening at the minute, at least. And the same with some of the other decisions I've made. It's not easy. I've got very little evidence in terms of training and games. And when the team that selected initially did as well as what they did, like I said before, and I felt it was the right thing to do to give them that opportunity from the off today. And I don't think it was terrible. Certainly, I think we're playing differently. I heard a couple of comments, from a couple of fans, not many, but behind us when maybe we kept the ball and came out, went backwards to go out the other side, and maybe that's something they haven't been used to seeing. And I'm not saying they like that, but I'm saying we've got to, there's a style that we want to play in. And I said when we can go forward, I want us to, but it can't be constant, because otherwise what we find is, I think we turn over possession far too much. And I think previously, what I'd watched at least, I felt that was one of the issues, that we spent far too long without the ball, and therefore it's almost inevitable that we get ground down and concede. So that's something we're trying to improve on, but obviously that hasn't worked today.
Just finally, clearly not the result you would have wanted or hoped for on your first return as in charge. I was going to say manager, as head coach of Shrewsbury Town. How was it for you, the whole experience, being back on the touchline here, in charge of Shrewsbury at the Meadow? Yeah, look,
I've spoke quite clearly in terms of what I feel about the club, the opportunity, the chairman, the fans. I've had a fantastic time. This is a different time, but walking out, it felt familiar. I would, of course, have wanted a better result, as you've just touched on. But I would say with the crowd, I spoke again on Thursday around us trying to give them something to cheer, and then likewise the fans getting behind the players when perhaps it's not going how I would like, the fans would like. And I thought they did that. The behind the goal and on that far side in particular, which I couldn't certainly remember from the last time I was here. I think they got behind the lads, and as I've said, I know sometimes it's not easy because you get frustrated, whether it's with the referee, whether it's with the team, whatever it is, but we've got to be in this together. And that's, 16 games now left? That's what we've got to do in all of those games as much as possible to try and get the results that we want.
Thanks for your time, Paul.